It is a 2-1 count. Bases loaded, top of the first. Area out of the pitch. Hit deep right center field. Andrew McCutchen, grand slam! First inning off of former Philly Jake Arrieta. What is going on, Philly Frenzy? My name's Matt. I'm your host. I'm here with my buddy Rob. What is going on, Rob?
You know, man, hanging out. Excited to be here. Fresh episode of the pod. You know, we got a lot to talk about, actually. You know, a lot going on in the sports world right now. So, we're ready to get into it and get to it, man.
Yeah, so today we're going to be covering the Game 1 of the NBA Finals and also some bigger names coming into the NFL training camp, possibly a couple other names following suit if they actually receive these invitations. But let's start with the NFL because I feel like it's been a while since we talked NFL, and that's pretty much both of our favorite sports. Also, the opening was last night's game. Andrew McCutchen hit a grand slam with no outs in the top of the first inning against Jake Arrieta en route to a 15-10 victory in Chicago. Philly's on a little bit of a roll here. They've won 4 of the last 5, 10 runs in both of the last 2 games. So thought I wanted to start it off with that. But let's jump into the NFL here, and let's get into the first name that everyone has an opinion about and switching positions. And that's Tim Tebow. It's definitely Tebow time down in Jacksonville. You know, to me, I don't really think it's going to pan out. I do expect him to make the roster, but I feel like he's going to be there as a locker room guy for Urban Meyer. And I feel like he's going to be a guy that's going to be able to help mold Trevor Lawrence locker room presence-wise, not actually on the field. But, you know, Rob, what is your take on the whole Tim Tebow being in Jacksonville?
Well, obviously, I think it has a lot to do with Urban Meyer being in Jacksonville. You know, Urban Meyer coach Tebow knows the type of guy he is, knows the type of locker room presence he has. Like you stated, I think that's a big reason why he's there. Because that team is so young. They haven't been there, done that. Now, obviously, Tebow hasn't necessarily been there, done that in the NFL, but he did start games as a quarterback in the NFL in the playoffs. People might forget that. He made the playoffs as the starter for Denver.
He actually won a game.
And won a game. So he does have that experience, which is more than Trevor Lawrence has. And like we stated, excellent locker room guy. This is a young team, so they do need some guidance in that locker room probably. So he may make the roster for that. He's obviously a pretty athletic dude, so there's a chance he can make it as a special teamer as well. But we'll have to see. You know, maybe he can do it as a tight end. I think it's a lot tougher now at his age than if he would have just done this from the jump, like everybody said he should have. But we'll see. I think it's a wait-and-see thing. He is in a camp, so there is a chance that he makes the roster. I think preseason games are going to have a lot to do with that. What kind of rust does he have on the field? How does he look at tight end and all that? You know, Urban Meyer's not going to keep him if he's complete garbage. So even if he is a good locker room guy, you know, there's limited space on an NFL roster. You have to be able to play in some capacity to make a team.
You know, the big thing that stands out with Tebow is how great a shape he is in. You know, and you
always has been.
You also brought up something where I feel like a lot of people around the NFL and a lot of people that follow the NFL thought it right away as well. If Tebow came out and wanted to play tight end fresh out of college, you know, Tebow might actually have been in the league and not have to go play for the Mets minor league staff.
Yep.
So it's definitely interesting to see him moving from quarterback to tight end. I do think that if he can pan out, it is somewhat of a better transition because him being a former quarterback, he knows what he's expecting out of a tight end. So he's going to be able to give that to Trevor Lawrence as long as he can perform at that kind of level. It would have been interesting to see him go to the tight end university camp to me, that's where I would have, if I was Urban Meyer, I would have told him to go and learn from, the best tight ends in the league and Greg Olsen. But, we just got to wait and see. Hopefully.
I believe he was not invited to tight end camp, by the way.
They opened up camp and they weren't doing invitations. At first, it was just invitations. And then once once tight ends got a hold of it and they started asking to go, they opened it up to whoever wanted to come.
Oh, okay. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah. So that's kind of where, if Tebow could have taken the extra step, went down. I mean, not really went down because I'm pretty sure they're in Jacksonville, so you can't go down from there. But to actually go and, learn from the best guys in the league. But that's all I have on Tebow. Mini camp opens up soon, or training camp. We'll see how that goes out. And switching from Tebow, we'll go to another guy that's actually in a camp. In wide receiver, former Carolina Panthers first-round draft choice, Calvin Benjamin signed with the New York Giants. I'm sorry, the Giants this offseason as a tight end. To me, I've always felt Benjamin was built like a tight end.
Yep.
We'll see if Benjamin can actually withhold blocking like a tight end, and if his body can hold up and take the beating of being a tight end. I'm pretty sure he's been out of the league for at least 2 years now. He's had injury issues in the past. You're now putting him at a position where he's going to get hit. So it's interesting to see how he pans out with the Giants. I mean, if he does, this is another situation. If he does, he gives the Giants a very good 1-2 tight end combination with him and him, and then adding Galladay to go with Shepard and then drafting the kid from Florida, Tooney. That offense, with a healthy Saquon Barkley, that's a very good offense. If Benjamin is good.
Yeah, I mean, even if he's not good, the Giants definitely went out and added pieces because, and we see this all the time, man. Last year of a rookie deal of a quarterback that a team is questionable on, which I think the Giants are questionable whether Daniel Jones is the guy or not. They go out, they load their roster up with offensive talent because they want to know, do we have the guy at quarterback or do we not have the guy at quarterback? And if Kelvin Benjamin can pan out as a good tight end, which I agree, I always thought he had the body and speed for. I never thought he had the speed to play receiver at the NFL level, unfortunately. But if he pans out at tight end, that offense could be scary if Daniel Jones performs.
Yeah, so let's now jump to non-training camp guys, possibly joining a training camp.
The old head group.
Yeah, the old head group. But before we get to the one that I'm excited about, if it actually were to happen, and the one that's going to cause the most conversation, let's jump to the possibility of Brandon Jacobs getting invited to a training camp, not to play running back, but to play defensive end.
Yeah, I've been hearing about this. Obviously, he's a bigger dude. Was always a big, strong guy, even as a running back in the NFL. Do I think he can realistically come in and make the transition to defensive end at, I believe, 38 years old? No, I absolutely do not think he will make it on a roster this year. He may get invited to a camp. Somebody might be intrigued to see what he can do. But I don't see him making a roster. I don't see any way where you can just all of a sudden play one of the premier positions in the NFL as an edge rusher at 38 years old. I just don't see it. But, hey, go out there and prove me wrong, Brandon Jacobs. I'd love to see it, but I don't see it.
His son is a monster.
Not even a little bit. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely a fact.
His son is a monster. He makes Brandon Jacobs look small. You know, with Jacobs, it is intriguing. I would not expect it to pan out like Rob's saying. At 38 years old, you're not just going to pick up at an edge rusher. He's never even played the position, and expect to.
I mean, maybe he did back in high school. I don't know that, but
yeah, but
he never played it at a high level.
Yeah, and I'm not expecting him to actually make a roster. He probably will get an invite. But this is all coming from Tebow switching from quarterback to tight end after playing baseball for a few years. The biggest difference between Tebow and Brandon Jacobs is playing tight end is a little bit different than playing defensive end. And not only that, Tebow is removed from the NFL, but he was still playing a sport, professional sport.
Yep.
And we're talking about Jacobs, who hasn't played in a while, who retired because of being a running back, taking a toll on his body, him being a bigger back.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The starkest difference between these guys and those younger guys, I mean, not that Tebow's young, but he's younger than the two guys we're talking about in this category, is not only the age, but Kelvin Benjamin hardly has any wear and tear from the NFL. He didn't play that much. Tim Tebow obviously didn't play that much. Brandon Jacobs played a lot of years as a premier running back in the NFL and had a lot of touches during that time. So not only are you 38 playing a brand new position, you have that NFL wear and tear on that body already. Can you even make it a full season? Even if he was good, somehow he's good and he makes a roster and he's playing, is he going to be able to play all year at his age with that body?
More than likely not.
I don't know. Exactly.
All right, let's get to the last one. My favorite one.
That leads me into this guy.
T.O. All right, so the Philadelphia Eagles and Terrell Owens seem to be flirting with each other. Trevon Grimes, undrafted free agent from Florida, was picked up by Philadelphia. He suffered an injury. We actually released him. Right after we released him, all of the rumors started speculating that Philadelphia Eagles are looking for a wide receiver, and Terrell Owens took right to Twitter and said, "Philadelphia, you got my number. Hit me up." All right, so we're talking about a 47-year-old wide receiver who hasn't played in, almost 10 years, and he hasn't played at a high level since him and Romo were in Dallas.
Yep.
So he is 47. He'll be turning 48 in December, and he did run a 4.4 last year. I'd be interested to see, because he's another guy who we're talking about who is still in fantastic shape.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you real fast. Yes, T.O. is absolutely shredded for a 47-year-old. Okay? Not a doubt in my mind, he's still in great basic physical shape. Ask any pro football player, there's a difference between in shape and in football shape. They're two different things. The man is not in football shape, number one. Number two, not only is he 47, he played in the league for 16 years. And he played in a league where you could get really hit. Not this powder puff hitting they do now. My man spent most of his 16 years getting absolutely smacked around as a wide receiver. So there is absolutely no way, even if T.O. came back and proved he could be productive, that he would make it through an NFL season. I would say you'd be lucky to see him healthy through 2 to 3 games.
So he fits in with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You guys love old, washed-up, injury-prone receivers.
No, we just love injury-prone players.
That too.
T.O. is definitely very interesting. I know there's been speculations over the years about him coming back, that he didn't want to retire. It would be the first time we actually see a guy who has been on the Hall of Fame ballot come back and play. Like I said, he is in tremendous shape. He did just run a 4.4.
Do you think that is why he's doing it?
Because he hasn't been inducted into the Hall of Fame, possibly.
Yeah.
It's very possible.
Also, the fact that he would have another record as being the only guy that was eligible for the Hall of Fame and was on the ballot that came back and played.
It's definitely possible. You know,
he loves the limelight. That's all I'm saying.
T.O. is, to me, being an Eagles fan, I more than likely tell you that I don't want T.O. But as an Eagles front office member, if I was, I'm signing T.O. every day of the week because T.O. is going to bring more people into the seats. Not only that, be the Philadelphia Eagles front office for a second. What does this tell you about Jalen Hurts? That Terrell Owens wants to come back and play with Jalen Hurts. He's played with Donovan. He's played with Steve Young. He's played with Tony Romo. He's played with, I'm pretty sure, a preseason with Russell Wilson in a training camp. There's somebody else I'm missing. But, you know, like, he's played with very good quarterbacks. And for him to want to come back, that has to, as a front office, you got to be sitting there going, all right, maybe we do got somebody. Am I wrong for looking at it that way, Rob?
You're not wrong for looking at it that way, but I don't know that T.O. is thinking about it that way. I mean, let's face it, we're talking about the most diva of all diva wide receivers ever. And I would like to think he would only want to come back to play with guys who are talented, but he's so much of a diva that and a guy who loves the attention and the limelight. I think he would just come back to any roster that would take him just to make the comeback.
Hey, Tom, make it happen. Bring him to Tampa.
Yeah, they need another old troublemaker wide receiver in Tampa Bay.
Him and Antonio Brown would get together quite well.
I mean, that would be way more of insane people than even him and Chad Johnson were.
Like, they would need their own reality show.
Oh, yeah, for sure they would need their own show.
All right, so let's get off this NFL possible guys coming back. Wrapping it up, you know, we do have two of the four guys actually in camp, with Tebow switching from quarterback to tight end, Calvin Benjamin switching from receiver to tight end, and then two older guys, possibility of them getting invites. Brandon Jacobs going from running back to defensive end, and Mr. Terrell Owens, Mr. Popcorn himself, going from wide receiver to wide receiver at 47 years old. So it'd be interesting, you know, which one to you is the most realistic to actually pan out, if there is one?
I think I have most faith in Calvin Benjamin. Personally, pretty close with him and Tebow on being able to make rosters. The only reason that I give him about the same percentage is because, like we noted on, Tebow's off-field locker room capabilities is, you know, his upside, his biggest upside. And I think Calvin Benjamin's biggest upside is obviously not that old. You know, would be a good athlete at the tight end position. Like you said, Artie is going to know how to run the routes, catch the ball, blah, blah, blah. It's can he learn how to be an adequate blocker? He doesn't have to be a good blocker. He needs to be a good enough blocker to make the roster. Because, let's face it, the Giants don't really seem to care if your tight end can block because Ingram can't block.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you don't got to be like, Travis Kelce level blocker a George Kittle level blocker. They're not. I don't think that's what they're looking for. I think if you could block adequately and supply another weapon for Daniel Jones, I think that's what they're looking for.
You know, I'm definitely agreeing with you. I think Benjamin is definitely the guy who we could see pan out, and he is the youngest of the four guys. So it is possible. The biggest thing with Benjamin, you know, is can he somewhat block and will he stay healthy? Health has definitely been an issue with him in the past, so we'll see how that goes with him. Now let's switch over. Let's get into this NBA talk. Last night, Game 1 NBA Finals. Milwaukee at Phoenix. Giannis upgraded from doubtful to questionable, and almost 2 hours before game time. Came out. To me, Giannis looked like he was about 80%. And I'm leaning more towards that 90%. You know, he had a play in the second quarter where he took off from maybe 2 steps inside the free throw line and had a chase down block. And I'm letting you know right now, you got an issue with your knee. To make that play and come down and start moving the opposite way, that knee must not be bothering you that much. So, you know, I'm leaning more towards 90%. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He was limping a little bit in the second half. The one takeaway you can take from Giannis being out there last night was that missing 2 games did make a difference with his conditioning. He looked winded in the second quarter. Now he is a bigger guy, and you know, playing an actual NBA game compared to practicing, it's definitely more of a toll on your body. So you're talking he hasn't played since game 4 in the third quarter. So last night was game 1, almost a week.
Yeah.
So I can understand why he looked like that at points. You know, he didn't play like Giannis. He had 20 and 17 rebounds. You know, I do think that they did a really good job at Phoenix and Monty Williams working on putting together a zone. You saw the zone established a lot in the second quarter. When Giannis started getting going, they switched to a zone, which took away openings for Giannis to be able to be the way that he is the rim, and that's aggressive. You know, they did a very good job of being on Giannis all night. You know, Holiday struggled and Middleton struggled. They're your 2 guys that are going to get you points. You know, Middleton did give you 29. He just shot under 50%. He was right around 42% for the night. You know, that's about what he gives you on a nightly basis anyway, so I can't really say, you know, he didn't shoot well. He shot like Chris Middleton shoots. You know, Holiday struggled a little bit. He was 4 for 14. He only had 10 points. I think if they would have got a little bit more out of Holiday, this probably would have been a closer game. Phoenix did end up winning.
I believe he was 0 from 3 too, wasn't he?
Yes, he was Holiday. 0 for 4.
Yeah, which is that's what hurts. I mean, he cannot shoot 0% from behind the arc. He is supposed to be one of their 3-ball guys. You know, they're reliant on that.
The other big thing with the Milwaukee Bucks is I don't believe Brook Lopez scored after 2 minutes into the third quarter. He finished the game with 17. I may be mistaken, but I don't remember him scoring after the 2 minute mark in the third quarter, like the beginning of the first 2 minutes. That definitely hurts when he gave you 17 up to that point, if I am correct. I don't remember seeing him score again. But you flip this over and you see what Phoenix did. You know, our 2 guys that we picked yesterday on Monday. I'm
Or the
sorry.
two leaders.
The two guys we picked for Finals MVP, Rob, you picked Chris Paul, and he had 32-9 last night. He shot.
By the way, I believe I also said Chris Paul's stat line would be right around 30 points, right around 9.5 assists, and right around 5 boards. And he did 32, 9, and 4 last night.
Yeah, you know. And then my guy, DeAndre
Did
Ayton.
exactly what you said he was going to do.
Yeah, the only thing is Ayton ended up with a steal, not a block. He went for 22 and 19. He shot very efficient, 80% from the field, which you're expecting from Ayton. You saw in the beginning of the game, when if you watched the game, you saw the way that Phoenix attacked Milwaukee and putting them in pick and roll situations and making them switch. And that was one thing that Milwaukee had an issue with against Atlanta, was switching and putting Brook Lopez onto Trae Young. And that's why Brook Lopez's minutes started to diminish. You saw it last night with Chris Paul. You saw it last night with Devin Booker. The whole second quarter, they attacked the switch. And when the switch came, if Chris Paul or Booker didn't have the shot, it went right to DeAndre Ayton. Excuse me. Speaking of their other part of the big three, Devin Booker was not what
Did not play well, by the way.
No, that's not what we were expecting. He shot 8 for 21.
He shot 30. That's like, 38% from the floor. Not only that, he shot 1 for 8 from 3. This is one of the best 3-ball shooters in the NBA, and he shot 12.5% from 3. So Milwaukee better realize that and know that that's probably not going to happen over this whole series, and they really got to pick it up in Milwaukee.
You had Miles Bridges, who should not have been traded from Philadelphia on draft night. Give them 14 like he's been doing all postseason. He's played really, really, really well on both ends of the floor. And the two guys that keep coming up over and over for them off the bench, Cam Johnson and Cameron Payne. Excuse me.
Absolutely have played their roles very, very well.
Yeah, they both had 10 points again last night. And the glue piece of this team in Jay Crowder. The idea of shooting 0 for 8 in 33 minutes and still being left on the floor just shows you how much of an asset he is to that defense. And he ended with 9 boards. Yeah, he only had 1 point. He was 0 for 8. But he did have 9 boards. And
the block.
Yeah, so he's right where you kind of expect him to be. And, you know, the when you get points out of him, it helps.
You can't expect him to shoot that bad every game. It's not going to happen. This is a dude who averaged 10 points a game during the season. So, you got to expect him to put up 8 to 12 on a given night. That's what I'm saying, man. The way Milwaukee played, they should be really, really concerned.
What you saw last night, and it's kind of what, you kind of knew. Phoenix's coaching staff is better than Milwaukee's. Monty did a hell of a job making adjustments throughout the game. And, he is going to be a coach of the year candidate for years to come. Monty Williams is doing one hell of a job with Phoenix.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. It's part of the reason why Phoenix was one of the best records. He between his leadership and Chris Paul's leadership, it has totally turned around the culture of this young Phoenix Sun team, and that's why they've been so good all year. That's why they've played well in the playoffs. He is a huge part of this team's success.
I'm on record on Monday saying that I think this series is going to be split after game 2. After watching last night's game, Phoenix might take both, and this series might not be 6 or 7. This series might be 5.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, some of these numbers are. So if I told you, just going off of this, if I told you that both teams shot roughly the same field goal percentage, but one team shot roughly 12% better from 3, which team do you think would win? The one who shot better from 3? And they both had about similar attempts from the floor and from 3. But one team shot 12% better from behind the arc.
My biggest question mark would be, before answering this, I would want to know what the turnovers were. Because
I can tell you. Turnovers, the team who shot 12% better from the floor had 13 turnovers as a team. The other team had 9.
So you're talking
fairly close.
You're talking four extra possessions. They took about the same. They took about the same amount of threes. They took
one team. They shot within 2 shots of each other for total threes of the team for the game, and they took an identical amount of field goals for the game. One team shot 12% better from 3, turnovers 4 in the other direction.
I would have to take the team with less turnovers.
That would be the correct team, because that was the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns as a team shot less than 33% from 3 last night, and this is one of the better 3-point shooting teams in the league. So again, this could end up being a real quick series if Phoenix gets their act together. The thing that saved Phoenix last night, the biggest thing I see, is the charity stripe. Phoenix shot as a team 25 from 26 from the free throw line. The Bucks shot 9 of 16 from the free throw line. That's a big difference.
Which is going to happen when you have Giannis on your team. Same thing with Ben Simmons.
Yep. Absolutely it is.
So when Hacky Giannis gets put into play, there's going to be a couple possessions where you don't score, or you might walk away with just 1 point. You're talking about a guy who's shooting 53% from the free throw line this postseason. And, I'm not an NBA player, but you should be shooting roughly 75 to 80% at the bare fucking minimum.
So Giannis isn't going to obviously be a good free throw shooter, but he's got to get up to at least 60%.
You got guys. I'm going to point him out. You got guys like DeAndre Ayton, who takes your 14 to 18 foot jump shot, goes to the free throw line, and does not miss a single fucking free throw. Then you get Giannis, who thinks he's a 3-point shooter at times, who shoots the 20 to 22 foot jumper, but can't make a free throw. That is a lack of wanting to get better. Same shit with Ben Simmons. Free throws aren't hard. Go to the gym by yourself and shoot 1,000 free throws a day. I bet you come back a better shooter by the time the next season starts. I promise you that. I don't need you to shoot. This is what I've been saying about Ben Simmons, though. I don't need you to shoot 5 to 10 to 15 threes a game. I need you to shoot 75 to 80% from the free throw line. You shoot that, That game last night, now granted, you lost by, was it 13, 15?
13, I believe. 118 to 105.
You shoot 80% instead of being 9 for 16 from the line, and you're 12 from 16 from the line. That's 3 extra points. Not only that, Giannis, you won't be scared to attack the basket at certain situations because you know you could hit your free throw.
Yeah, I mean, he shot 7 for 12 last night from the stripe, which for him is a pretty good game, I guess.
That's. I mean, I'd want him closer. I'd want him closer to 9 for 12, but
yeah, I mean, ideally that's what you would want, but you can only do so much, with it. I mean, Shaq was never a good free throw shooter.
See, either. The thing with Shaq, so we're talking about a 7'2", 350-pound center in a stretch of basketball where centers were pick and roll or on the block and work. They weren't built to make free throws. They weren't built to shoot jump shots. I understand Giannis is 7 foot tall, but Giannis is a point guard, not a center. So that's what makes it a little bit more difficult for me to give Giannis that pass, because if you want the ball in your hands in the first quarter as a guard, you better want the ball in your hands in the fourth quarter as a guard. And it's the same shit, I'm going to say it again, that I've been saying about Ben Simmons. You can't be selective when you're supposed to be the best player on your team when not to have the ball in your hands.
Yep. In today's day and age, you have to have guys that can shoot. I'm obviously not asking Giannis to be like a 3-point bomber, but got to develop a jump shot of some sort, anything to draw a guy out to you to cover you. And you had, like you said, getting better at the stripe. That's work ethic to me. Like you said, you can go to the gym and do that by yourself. You don't need nobody else there. You can get that work in on your own every single day, and that's what he should be doing. And maybe he is. Maybe he is, and he's still just struggling. But I find it hard to believe that you're struggling as bad as he is, and you're putting in that kind of work.
Well, the next step after working on it, if you're continuing to struggle, and you'll know you're struggling by yourself if you're in the gym.
Oh, absolutely.
It's your form. Giannis has one of the ugliest free throw forms I've ever seen in my life.
I agree.
So that is something else. That's going to be something that coaching has to help him with. But, that is fixable. It's a mechanic. When you're in a professional sport, if you have to change your mechanics, you're supposed to be able to adapt. AKA Ben Simmons, fucking adapt and shoot the damn 3.
Yeah.
But you have to adapt. And one thing with Giannis, I will credit him this. When Giannis first came into the league, he could not shoot at all. At all. And, he has taken certain steps to where now he is, I wouldn't say a threat, but he's not somebody you're going to leave out there. Now, this postseason is a little bit different. He's shooting 18%. He looks like he's struggling from 3. But, he's getting closer to 30% on the year for a regular season. And at that clip, 30%, you're not at the low end anymore. You're right in that in-between mark. 30 to 35% is where most shooters shoot. So, he's getting better at shooting the 3. And he has developed a jump shot at the elbow. Now it's time for him to develop a free throw and continuing to work on his 3-point shooting for him to take that next step. Because we saw it in 2004 with LeBron. LeBron's biggest knock when he came into the league, he could not shoot. I remember it. LeBron couldn't shoot free throws. LeBron couldn't shoot threes. Shit, leave LeBron open for a midi. 95% of the time, that shit was not going in. Now, we are in the latter part of LeBron's career. He doesn't have that kind of athleticism. Reason why he's still in the NBA. LeBron is starting to adapt to what the NBA is now. He's starting to be able to shoot the three ball. He's not shooting at a high clip. I think LeBron's around 32%. But he also hits his free throws. He's right around 78%. Right in that window that I want you to be able to shoot a free throw. You want to shoot over 80%. That's beautiful. I love over 80%. But I'm expecting you to be able to shoot between 75 and 80%. He's right in between that window now. And the other thing that him and Giannis really, really share a comparison with is both of their ways, the way they distribute the ball.
Yeah.
And Giannis, it's going to get difficult on him during this series to be able to distribute the ball and play the way Giannis wants to play because Monty Williams and the Phoenix Suns will make it difficult and they will drop on him defensively. And he will not be able to make passes that he's used to being able to make. We're going to see Milwaukee struggle even more. We're going to expect Chris Middleton to step up. And Chris Middleton's already showing you he has certain games where he can. And then the rest of the series, he's giving you 38 to 44% from the field. And he's probably going to shoot about 30 shots.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the points you're making. But that brings me to this question. So obviously, he's not 100%. So it's tough maybe to do this. But does Milwaukee have to think about shopping Giannis?
They won't shop Giannis because last offseason they made sure they gave him a supermax. I think if anything was to happen with Giannis, it would have happened last offseason. Now, we did have this conversation off air. If Milwaukee, say Giannis gets hurt, knock on wood, I don't want him hurt. I want to see him play in this series. But if Giannis was to get hurt and not be able to play, and Milwaukee goes on to win the NBA championship with Giannis on the bench, Milwaukee should be shopping Giannis Antetokounmpo. And the first team I'd call is Portland. And I'd be trying to get Dame Lillard because you could probably get Giannis in a first for Dame in a first. You'd swap first and superstars.
Yeah. That would that wouldn't shock me if that becomes the case. If Giannis can't play and they win, because in my opinion, there is much more fluidity to the Milwaukee offense in the games that Giannis hasn't played than when he does play. So I almost think him getting hurt could be what they need offensively to win this series. But I obviously, again, I don't want to see guys get hurt. Nobody wants to see that. But I think if he got hurt, it could actually benefit their team offensively. Defensively, it hurts them, I think. But offensively, I think their team, the ball flows so much better. They're very Giannis-centric because he is the best player. But I think they need to let the ball flow a little bit more even with Giannis on the floor. Like, don't always look to Giannis to be the number one option. Like, let Middleton start trying to find his stroke from three. Let Holiday attack the basket. Like, that's why he hurts them, because teams know his only scoring is down low. So even if he tries to move out to the low post corner to give Drew Holiday some room to attack the rim,
they're going to drop
the center doesn't follow him because they don't have to, because he's not going to take the shot.
Mm-hmm.
And if he gets it and drives in hard and you foul him, he's going to miss at the stripe. So, I mean, that's my take on things. I after seeing what happened last night,
I'm updating my prediction. I said 6 or 7 games. This is over in no more than 5.
I'm right there with you. You know, there was a scary part last night where we could be having a completely different conversation this afternoon. Chris Paul ended up getting the switch with Brook Lopez, and it was late in the second quarter. Chris stepped back, he hit a three, and it was Bogut, Kawhi Leonard all over again from 2017. Brook came down, landed right on Chris Paul's ankle, and he ended up getting assessed a flagrant one, which I do agree with. And for a second there, I thought the series was over. Chris grabbed the back of his ankle, and I was like, you know, Rob, you and I talked about it. One injury makes a difference, and if that injury, if Chris Paul was to actually be hurt from that situation, you know, maybe we're having a conversation right now, Milwaukee in 4.
Yeah.
But, you know, luckily, Chris Paul was able to finish the game. He played phenomenal. I'm going to agree with you. I am going to say Phoenix in 5. I do believe that they'll take game 2. They'll win one in Milwaukee, and then they'll finish it out in Phoenix, without a doubt.
Yeah, at this point, that's where I'm at. I'm going back to that. So I got Milwaukee in 5. I think we both agree on that. Or Milwaukee getting bounced in 5. I think we both agree on that. I think stylistically, Phoenix just has a big advantage. Like I said earlier, this Phoenix team did not even play particularly well last night, and they still won pretty handily. So if that's the best the Bucks are going to show, they are going to get beat very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, do you have? Let's wrap up this section. Do you have anything else you want to say on the series or the game we saw last night?
Nope. I think we covered pretty much everything I wanted to hit. So.
All right, so we are going to update you real quick. There is a couple changes to our schedule. So Friday was supposed to be our next show. We were going to be covering Poirier and McGregor Part 3. That's still going on Friday. But tomorrow, we got 2 shows coming to you. We got UPA Liquid Pro-Am owner Chris coming on the show, talk everything Dallas and what he's doing with Liquid. That should be a very fun episode. And then we also have my team, or my player team-up league, starting tomorrow at midnight. We're going to do a tip-off show, talk a few things. Your boy, I am playing in it. So, you know, commentating is going to be a little rough because I'm not going to be able to commentate while I'm playing because I got to talk to my guys. But I will be playing in the My Player Team-Up League. I'm very interested to be a part of this. I'm not interested. Actually, hold on. I am interested to see how this season goes, but I'm very excited to be a part of this league. Not only am I covering the league, I'm now playing in the league. I'm in the worst division in the league, so I should be in the finals. And Zero Dark Jelly better get his team to the damn finals so I can smack him in the finals with Brett on the line. But, you know, we're going to do that tomorrow. Friday we'll come to you with McGregor Poirier Part 3, get you ready for the weekend. Also, Friday, more than likely, we will also do a Game 2 recap from Thursday night. Hopefully, we're talking Phoenix up 2-0. We'll see how that goes. And then that is it. You know, we're Monday, more than likely on Monday, we will actually talk about this fantasy draft that we have going on and trying to get guys to participate in this and, you know, have a little bit of fun with it this football season. Also, we're going to talk about how the NFL has changed and fans have changed with fantasy football being more of a use now during the regular season. You know, 15 years ago, fantasy football wasn't this big. So this has definitely changed the game, and Rob and I are going to dive in and talk about that. But that is all I have. Phillies are on at 8:05 Eastern time tonight. Zach Wheeler's on the mound. Hopefully my guy gets the dub. We can go up 3-0 in a 4-game series against the Cubs. That's it. Rob, you got anything?
Just to throw out to baseball fans of the Yankees like me, they're on tonight against Seattle at 10:10. Other than that, I'm excited for the upcoming shows, and we're out.